Alright guys, welcome back to another Fortnite video, and in this one, it is time to talk about all of the changes, the secret changes in the most recent update of Fortnite, the 6.21 update. That's right guys, so if you're new to this type of series, basically what it is we're not going to be going over the obvious things that were added in the update, you know, the balloons and stuff like that, but we're not going to be talking about those obvious changes. Instead, we're going to be going over things like ghosts sort of showing up on the map, a bunch of weapons getting vaulted, DURRR closing, and there's sort of like a little story there, as well as some item changes and more. Just a ton of awesome things that I'm sure you guys will enjoy. And speaking of that, if you do enjoy the video, be sure to hit that like button down below and subscribe if you're new for more fun videos like this in the near future. And on top of that, be sure to comment what you think of the brand new balloons item. Again, I've only had a little bit of time to try them out, and like here's a little gameplay of me just messing around with them, but I'm curious to see what you guys think of them. Do you like them? What have you been using them for? Leave those thoughts down below in the comments. But yeah guys, without further ado, let's jump into it with the first thing I want to talk about, and that is actually the ghosts that have sort of shown up in furniture around the map. And yeah, that sounds pretty crazy, but it's actually true. And this did for sure happen on the update, which again technically was supposed to release on Halloween, then it got delayed to November 1st, I believe. But there is like floating furniture. So let me show you an example here. This is in Salty Springs. I believe there's other locations, but Salty Springs has some good examples. So if you go into this house, this sort of broken down house, as you can see, and first of all go to the sort of second floor, you'll notice that there's this floating, you know, dresser. It's not really a dresser, more of like just a cabinet, but it is for sure floating there. On top of that, it also makes this sort of ghostly sound, which is a little bit hard to hear. You might want to go into game to hear that yourself. But on top of that, you can also see that there's like a white outline that sort of moves around the cabinet, and overall it just looks very creepy. Now that's not the only thing about this. If you then break it, you'll notice that there's a little animation that happens when you break one of these ghost furniture pieces. Now it's pretty hard to see right there, so let's go into replay mode and take a look at exactly what is happening there. And if you slow it down when that animation occurs, you can see that it is actually ghost versions of some of the characters in the game. Now I believe they're sort of random, but like as you can see right here, there's one of the Rex outfit, and that's super interesting because it's not like a random animation. It's actually the Rex outfit showing up as like a ghost when you break this piece of furniture. And again, I do think it's random like which skin spawns. I believe there's a few different ones, but yeah, on top of that, you can go down to the basement, and this bookshelf is floating as well. And thanks to Osian on Reddit for pointing out this one, but it also does that animation thing when you break it. So I'm not 100% sure what this means. Maybe it's just for Fortnitemares, just another little added detail, or maybe it means something for those skins. Not 100% sure yet, but it's definitely an interesting change. After that then though, I want to talk about another change that is definitely pretty interesting and is actually, I think, maybe a bug fix. Not 100% sure if it was a bug, but either way, it's now been changed and fixed sort of for the second time. So you may know where I'm going with that, but I am talking about the small shields delay that was happening recently in the game. As you may remember, you would go to drink one, and then there would be this weird little delay before you could drink the second one. And this was in the game a while ago, and then it changed back to this version, but now in the 6.21 update, it's back to small shields working normally. So as you can see, when you go to drink 2 small shields back to back, it works the same way it did in the past. You can do it super fast. So you know, hey, I'm happy with that. Again, I don't know why it was reintroduced, if it was an accident, a bug, or maybe it was again to test something, but either way, I'm very glad that it's back to how it works now. It just feels like how it should, being able to drink those small shields back to back, and I hope it doesn't change to the delay again in the future. I like how the small shields are working now, and I'm sure you guys do too. But after that then though, we have to talk about a massive change to the map. I am talking about the saddest thing that has happened in Fortnite yet. Alright, I'm maybe a little bit sarcastic there, but still, it's pretty funny. But there's been a pretty interesting change on the map, and that is that DURRR is technically closed now. And also with that, there's somebody behind it. So there's this funny little story going on with this. But yeah, let's go over to DURRR, and as you can see, it is for sure closed. And also thanks to Obsidian Heart 88 and Kinify on Reddit for pointing this out. But if you take a look at the doors, not only do they have a ton of yellow tape around them showing that it's closed, but there's also a sign with that red circle with a line through it over a burger. So yeah, it is for sure closed. And also take note of how there's bugs on this sign as well. That comes into play with something else we have to talk about here. But even with that, if you go inside, you can see that all of the chairs are now propped up on the tables, so there's really no doubt that it's closed. But on top of that, this is where it starts to get interesting. If you go outside of DURRR, like in front of it, you will see that there's a pizza pit truck sitting right there. Now that's not the only interesting thing, but first of all, with this, obviously you know that the pizza pit and DURRR are kind of in this funny little food war that's been going on for a little bit now. But if you take a look here, you can even see that on the side of the truck, there's this thing that has a thumbs up for Pizza Pit and then a thumbs down for DURRR. So again, pointing out that they're sort of against each other. However, the most interesting thing about this is that when you take a look at the back of the truck, you'll see that there's this cooler with stickers on the side of it that are the same bugs that were on the closed sign on DURRR. So what that seems to imply is that the Pizza Pit guys, the tomato heads, purposely put bugs in DURRR to get it shut down. That is right, guys. This little story is heating up here. So I'm excited to see where this goes in the future, but either way, it's a funny little change. After that then, though, this is a fairly quick one, but it has to do with the explosive change that happened yesterday. They actually made another change to it today, and yeah, it was a pretty big change. So if you don't remember, with yesterday's update, as soon as it went up, there was originally a change to make explosives a little bit more powerful. They basically got a buff, and it was a pretty interesting buff. If you don't remember, basically it let explosives do a percentage of damage through walls. So like, for example, if somebody was sitting in these huts right here, I could just fire a rocket at the side of it, and a percentage of the rocket damage would go through the wall and damage that player inside. And I believe that percentage was about 25% or so. However, today they just announced that they actually reverted this change, so explosives no longer do that percentage of damage through walls. So yeah, just a heads up, if you guys were a little bit used to having that damage through walls, just keep in mind that it no longer does that as of now. So don't like pick up a pumpkin launcher hoping to get some damage through a wall or something like that, because it no longer does it. Alright guys, before this next one, this is actually a really cool change to the playground mode, and it's actually a pretty huge change. Like, there's this brand new sort of area on the map, and you'll see what I mean here in just a sec, but it has to relate to the porta challenges and mini games that we talked about in a previous video. Obviously, we already went through a bunch of those in that previous video, so if you want to check that out, that is on the channel, but they recently added a bunch of these mini games actually placed on the map, if you know what I mean, and they're like floating in the sky. So if you want to see these, let's go ahead and jump into game to show this off, but you want to go into playground mode, obviously, so accept that and click play. But then once you're in a playground match, actually, if you pull up your mini map and go towards the center, there's this new area called challenge games, or it's not really a new area. Again, you'll see what I mean when we actually get there. It's a floating place with a bunch of mini games. So as we get closer to the center of the map, you can kind of see it below us, but not all of it has spawned in quite yet. You need to get closer to it, but if we skydive all the way down there, you'll start to see some of this stuff spawn in. Like, look at that. I'm pretty sure this is all 15 variants of the new porta challenges and mini games. Because, I mean, like, you got the spiky stadium, you got some of the obstacle courses, the shooting galleries over here. It's just this huge area floating in the air that you can just have a ton of fun with. But yeah, like, as you can see, here is one of the shooting galleries, and I believe those are the other rarity variants that you could usually get out of the vending machine. But like, as you can see here, if we start the mini game, it of course works. It's one of the shooting galleries, and then you got the guys spawning right there, and you can get some good target practice on them. But other than that, yeah, again, you got the obstacle courses right here. You've got the giant one over there on that side that you can mess around with. You also got the building challenges right here, the llama one, and then my favorite, the ramp wall floor one. We got to try this one again, see if we can beat our last time. I think it was like 2.53, 2.54, something like that. There we go, 2.44 seconds. That's definitely faster. But then, yeah, you got the obstacle course right here. And then you've also got the pirate ship mini game over here. And then you've also got Spiky Stadium up here. So overall, this is an awesome change. If you want to have some fun just playing some mini games with friends, you just spawn into a playgrounds match, go up here, and you can play all of these games. I gotta admit, that's pretty cool. After that then, though, we have to talk about some weapons that have been officially vaulted. That is right, guys, and they are some pretty interesting weapons, that is for sure. So first of all, let's start off with one that I really didn't expect to actually get a vault, and that was the semi-auto sniper. That's right. So I mean, I guess it was sort of expected, but it wasn't like the worst weapon in the game. It definitely had some uses, but a lot of people did pick up, you know, the bolt action, the heavy sniper for sure. That's definitely my favorite, and also the hunting rifles are all very good, but the semi-auto sniper, it definitely was fairly unique. You still could pick it up once in a while if you wanted that semi-auto option, and was decent for certain things. So that is why I thought this one was a little bit surprising, but it might be because there are so many snipers, or maybe we will be getting a new sniper to sort of take that semi-auto place coming up soon. I could definitely see that happening, and I think there's some options they could go with that. On top of that, though, you have the guided missile, which was vaulted, and this one was fairly expected. I personally never use the guided missile, just because it's not really that useful for how I play the game. I'm more of a person that likes to rush in, and the guided missile is something that you sort of sit back and use. But you know, it was pretty interesting while it lasted. But again, I don't know a lot of people that picked up this item, so I'm pretty sure that is why this one was vaulted, just because not so many people were using it. Now on top of that, you also have the dual pistols, which was a little bit surprising. And again, not that surprising, but you know, it was an alright item. You could still use it once in a while. For me, it was nothing that I would pick up in terms of being something that I have to have in my inventory, but you know, if you found one once in a while, you might want to mess around with it. It definitely was a very unique item and filled a pretty unique slot, but I guess it wasn't that popular of an item. I rarely like eliminated somebody and they dropped some dual pistols, so that's probably why this one was vaulted as well, just because I would assume not a ton of people were using it. However, on top of that, as with previous items that have been vaulted, these are still available in playground mode for you to try out once in a while, and it is definitely something that's pretty fun, you know, to try out some vaulted items. And I think maybe the Fiend Hunter crossbow might be following suit. I'm not sure if that's like an item that's exclusive to Fortnitemares. We'll have to see. Again, Fortnitemares is now ending on November 4th, which is a bit different from what we thought, judging from that PlayStation event thing that we saw. But yeah, we'll have to wait and see. Keeping it going here with these last two. These are two quick ones to go over, but there's still some things I feel we need to go over. So the first of which is that it is now easier to hear gliders when farming / shooting. So basically that kind of whistling sound that you hear when somebody is gliding towards you, that is now easier to hear again when you're farming for materials or, you know, shooting at somebody across the map. You should have an easier time of hearing that so nobody like surprises you. And personally, I feel like I've kind of noticed this. I haven't really had anybody sneak up on me by gliding in. I've been able to hear them and turn around quickly and build. So yeah, but on top of that, with the final change, this one is pretty interesting, but it has to do with the grappler and vehicles. But it basically says that when grappling as a vehicle passenger, the velocity of your vehicle is factored into the grapple force. I tried to figure that out a little bit by testing it out by like going down a ramp and grappling a wall. I couldn't quite tell what it meant by that, but there's also the fact that grappling as a passenger will now cause the vehicle to travel in a straight line, and I don't know if it's just me, but I do feel like it's a lot easier to grapple when you're in a vehicle. But yeah guys, that is going to be it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, be sure to hit that subscribe button down below. On top of that, you can check out some of my previous videos here, such as on the left, my week 5 challenges guide, and then on the right, a bunch of secrets that you probably don't know. But other than that guys, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you in the next one.